Everyone says they care about their health and want to eat better. But are you actually taking real steps to do something different about what's on your plate? If you're ready to gain confidence in your kitchen and learn about creating real plant-based meals that are adaptable and approachable, go grab my online course, How to Eat More Plants. This step-by-step, go-at-your-own-pace course is full of video instruction from me. I've poured my heart into creating a series of videos that walks you through exactly how to put more plant diversity on your plate each and every day. The accompanying ebook is packed with all the recipes so you can recreate everything right in your own home. Head over to my Stan store to grab the course, plus get a free gift even if you aren't ready to start cooking yet. Links to follow me on Instagram and grab the course are here in the show notes. Stay planted, friends. Stay nourished. People come and go in your life all the time, but those you are meant to connect with in ways that keep you growing, transforming, and inspiring will reemerge even when there are long periods of time between life circumstances. Hey guys, I'm Sarah, your host at What's on Your Plate podcast. My guest today, Misty Walker, first entered my life over 15 years ago when running created an intersection in our lives. This conversation is a catalyst of a lot more collaboration to come between Misty and I as we get back to working for the mutual interest of empowering people to remain true to who they are, show up for themselves, and get the hell out of their own way. Much more to come on that soon. In the meantime, enjoy today's conversation and listen at the end for ways to stay connected and follow us so you never miss opportunities to learn, grow, transform, or train with us. Without further delay, let's jump in. So I am here today with somebody that I have known for a long time, and we've connected and disconnected and reconnected many times over the years, I feel like. But one thing that always is true, at least for me, is that this guest today is somebody that always helps me come back into myself in terms of my wellness and my fitness. And recently I have reconnected with today's guest, Misty, for that exact purpose, to seek some guidance in just resetting fitness, resetting life and the process of that fitness. And I'm excited to have you on today, Misty. Welcome.
Well, thank you. I'm excited to be here. And thank you for saying all those nice things. I feel like I feel the same way about you. So, I'm excited to be here.
Awesome. Yeah. So we reconnected recently during this 8-week workout reboot reset that you launched, and I saw that, and it was just like perfect timing, and it just felt so appropriate to join that group at this point in life. And truly, you have been somebody over the years that has been instrumental in just helping me realign myself, not just physically but mentally, and you just kind of pop up right at the perfect time.
Well, that's that's really cool. I mean, it's so crazy to hear you say things like that because sometimes you don't really realize like what kind of impact you have on other people and in what way. So, when you reached out about the challenge, I was like, wow, that Sarah wants to do that. That's really cool. And it's not running related, right? So like you and I have always been, big in the running scene, and that's how we met. And we've run millions of miles together at crazy times of the day, which I don't know if I'd ever get up that early again, but being on the strength in the fitness side was really cool because here we are back kind of at square one with this strength training and trying to get back into that routine. So we're just working through those beginner stages together, it's fun. I'm glad you're there, and it's holding me accountable too. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really thankful, not just for the, step-by-step instruction of the strength training. I mean, that's honestly not what I'm there for, because I could do that myself. It's that accountability. It's that showing up. Like when we did those 4:30, 5 a.m. runs for years, I mean, that was showed up for because other people were also showing up for that. It's like I had to go because I couldn't let somebody else down, type of thing. So this, even the live stream course that you've launched for this current program that I'm on with you, it's even just the live stream. It's not even like I have to leave my house and show up somewhere, but I'm still like, I have to make sure my name's in that feed, and
Yeah.
that I like check in and sign in. So, but those ways that fitness, in whether it's strength training, whether it's running, whatever we do, it kind of pulls us back into ourselves and into the routine of things. And if there's one thing that I think aligns and has always been a constant for both of us, is running, for sure. And you spoke a little bit earlier before we hit record in regards to, I'm not sure how people work through the challenges in life when they don't have miles to think it through.
Yeah, and I think you kind of hit it right on the head with just like running being that constant. And I think that through all of like the challenges and all the setbacks and all the even celebrations or the good and the bad, that comes with life, I think that running has always been, it's mine, it's something that I can go out and just do, whether it's I'm happy or I'm sad or and I think that even with running being the constant, I think it has helped me maybe take those different challenges in life, or maybe take a little bit more risk here and there, because I always have that. I always have that constant. It brings me back, like you said, to yourself. It brings you back in to like who you are. And, even today on my run, I went outside for the first time in a long time in the morning, and it was hot and it was humid. And I was like, gosh, I have this podcast today. What am I going to talk about? And just having, those 5 miles, those very hot, sweaty 5 miles, to just kind of clear my head for the day. I mean, that's what it's all about. It's, of course, we set all these crazy goals and we do cool things and we do crazy things, but it doesn't, none of that really truly matters, when it comes right down to it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense to me, as a fellow runner. And I love something that you said within all that. Running is mine. It's something that I can always reach for, and nobody else has to give it to me or provide it for me. It's just something that I can have whenever I need it.
Yeah, for sure. And I feel like just with life, I mean, I've been through marriages, I've been through divorce, I've been through job changes, I've been through, having kids and kids getting married, and now I have grandkids. I mean, all these things, right, that you have in your life, and, most of them are awesome and they're great. And there are some really tough times. I just feel like, you know, it just, the running just brings me back to like who I am. And it's like, that is one thing that people can't, like, I can't let myself down with it. Right. So people in your life let you down or whatever. I feel like running and fitness, they just can't take that from me. Now, God forbid I get hurt or injured or something like that, then that would be a whole nother story. But I think that knowing me, I would find something else, right? Like anything you're passionate about. It doesn't have to be running or fitness, but something that's yours, and making sure that you stay true to yourself. And even like when I was growing up, and if I talk to like younger moms, my daughter being one of them, I will always say, like, don't lose yourself. Like, who you are right now, like, keep that. You can keep that through having children and being married and being a mom or a wife, or we have all these roles as women, business owners, friends, whatever. But stay true to who you are, because that's yours. And that, if running is important, or if painting is important, or if, I don't know, dancing is important, whatever it is, like keep it, because if you start giving things away and making time for everything else except yourself, I mean, you're just not, you just lose yourself.
Yeah, that speaks so directly to my heart. I mean, I have always believed that you cannot just abandon yourself, even to your children, right? Like you really have to just continue to show up for yourself in a way that just you never lose who you are. Because what's left when those children leave and have their own families, it's so important to just be who you are in the midst of everything else that gets added to your life. It's a critical error, I feel like, when I see parents just completely surrender everything they love.
Yeah. And I think that they think it's selfish, right? So they're always like, oh, you know, I
Mhm.
have to do this or I have to do that. And, you know, I have to be there for my husband, and I have to cook dinner, and I have to take, you know, this child to this sport or whatever. And, you know, working with women, you and I both have coached hundreds of people. I think that's where it's like, no, you have to make yourself happy. You have to, you know, it's okay to be selfish. I think you may have told me that a long time ago. We've probably talked about this a million times on a
Yeah.
run, but you probably told me like, it's okay to be selfish. It's fine to be selfish, because if you're not, then who, you know, no one else is going to do things for you like that. Like you have to take what you love and protect it, and, you know, nourish it and use it and have it, you know. And I think that that's where a lot of women, you know, as they go through life, they get lost, and you know, they come back and, you know, they're 50 years old and they're out of shape and they're miserable and they're, you know, they don't have any confidence and, you know, all these things. And that's what we have worked with, right? With beginner runners and these 5K programs and everything. And I always just say, it's like, I think that's why I do a lot of these things with those groups, is because I look at those women and I'm like, you can have your life back. You know, you can take what you want and you can create your life the way you want it. Like you can run that 5K, you can make time for yourself. You can set 30 minutes aside a day, and your husband can wait and your kids can wait. Everybody can wait until you get your workout in, or what is important to you to get to your goal. Like set that time, you make doctor's appointments, you make dentist appointments, you know, make an appointment with yourself and keep it. And I
Yeah,
think that goes a
absolutely.
long way.
100%, 100%. And I think that we just get so stuck in, you know, that shame or guilt that others put on us, and we let that energy become absorbed in ourselves to the point where we just completely lose ourselves. But I think running is one of those things that, because you do have so much time, if you're putting out miles on the road, right, or on the trails, you have a lot of time to think and to be within your own head. And for me, that is my mental wellness. That is my therapy. That is my clarity. That is my creative time. And when you have something like that, that allows you to reflect and self-love in that way, you don't give it up. You do
Right.
make time for it.
Right.
So I agree with you though, whatever it is, whether it's dancing or swimming or anything, make time for yourself for sure. I would love for you to talk about just that intersection between life and running and training, and how all of the things that you have acquired in terms of strength and resilience, determination from running has carried over into just how you live your life.
Yeah. So I think that, I mean, I've been running for a very long time, so I feel like it has always changed. And, you know, the reason why I run is different now than it was when I was, you know, 25 years old. But through the years, I think that the running, or the training, I would say, is probably more where I think that the discipline and just the mental fortitude and like the resilience all comes in, is because as you go through a training cycle, whether it's for a 5K, 10K, half marathon, ultra marathons, 100 miles, whatever it is, you have to make your schedule. You have to, keep your schedule. It's the discipline. It's the adaptability. It's the flexibility. It's all these things that happen through life as you keep this training schedule that I feel just creates this really hard work ethic. So whether it's in a job or whether it's with a relationship or with your kids or just how you take care of yourself, I feel like running and training has just, I don't know, it just kind of creates who you are as a person. And then also if you think about it, like on the flip side, if you're running a marathon or a 50 mile or 100 mile or whatever, you go through ups and downs in that race, right? So there are times when you're like at mile 10 in a marathon and you're like, oh my gosh, I have to 16 more miles to go, and you have to like think, how am I going to get through this, right? Like, what am I going to tell myself, or, how am I going to get myself to that next mile, and like being present in those miles. I think for my life in general, sometimes I have to like slow down and be like, Misty, just be present in the present moment, right? So we're always looking at the future. I know for me, I'm a huge planner. So if I don't have my whole like month planned out, I will find things to put places. And Andrew always like tells me, he's like, you never stop. And it's true. And I think that with running or life, I just don't stop, right? I always want to be better. I want to, I want to grow as a person. I want to, push myself to that next level, whether it's with my career or relationships or just learning more about myself. I mean, I'm 50. I can't even believe I'm saying that word. It's like, I just feel like in the last probably 6 or 7 years, I finally figured out who Misty was. And I think that all of these things just, they're like little puzzle pieces, right? We just put them together and put them together. And then, I don't know, any challenge I have or any decision I need to make, I think it just goes back to learning how to deal with those things, whether you're doing a training cycle or running a race or, you're running a 100 miler and you get stuck for 8 hours in a downpour at night, all these things happen and you just think about like, how am I going to make it through this? And you find out who you are, so when life throws you something you're not expecting, you can kind of just take a step back and be like, you know what, I can do this. I can do hard things. I can do this. I'm going to make it. I'm going to wake up tomorrow. The sun hopefully will be shining and I'm still going to get up and I'm going to go for a run and life is going to go on. And I think that that just helps with everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think something that I always come back to when things just feel impossible or miserable, whether it's life or whether it's being out on a course that like you're just dying on, is like every single thing that is uncomfortable is just temporary. Like if you could just get that in your mind that like this is not going to last and you are going to be fine.
Mm-hmm.
You have like 100% success rate of getting past that hard thing and being fine, and then doing it again oftentimes.
Right. And I think that that's a huge thing. Like it's being uncomfortable. How many times have we said like, you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable, right? In order to really, really reach that next level, whether it's qualifying for Boston or, I remember we've talked about this, like you have to learn what it feels like to be uncomfortable. And then you have to learn how to work through that, like to make it tolerable. And then when you hit the finish line or you hit your end goal, you're like, okay, I did it. I made it, and it's the same thing with life. When I went through divorce, I moved to a different city. I mean, I did all these things and it's like, okay, here we go. We're going to make it, and you just put one foot in front of the other and you just continue to move forward. And that's the same thing with running, it's just, there's so many different parallels. it's like sometimes I just feel sorry that for people who haven't had that opportunity to explore that, so.
Yeah, and that reminds me of something that I really believe to be true is running allows you to be within yourself, right? Many people look outside of themselves to find that knowing or that understanding of who they are. And when you do that, I feel like it gets blurred, or you're just focused on the influence of other people and what they're telling you you should be, or what they're telling you that you should do. But when you do something like change the course of your life by changing a relationship status and moving somewhere different and getting a new job and just setting yourself on an entirely different path, you create that confidence in yourself to do that because you came within yourself of that knowing in those miles or in that training. But if you let everybody around you tell you what they thought about any of those things, you'd probably still find yourself in a very miserable situation.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. For sure. And that's, a lot of times, I'll talk to a lady or woman or guys too, but I feel like the females probably come to me more, for training advice, or they want to do this or that, or they want to lose weight or get back in shape. I think that women, they come to us and they want to lose weight or they want to get healthy. And a lot of times it's the people around them that are like not allowing them to do that. And they're listening to those people who tell them, oh, you can't run a 5K, or you can't do this or that. Or it's the people that, I don't want to say they're jealous, but they're almost like those women or those people are so influenced by people around them that if they would just be a little selfish, and I'm going to go back to that, and know it's okay. Like, you don't have to feel guilty. You could be selfish and you could, make a plan for yourself and you can reach your own goals. If they would just like listen to themselves and make that time, I feel like that opens up a whole new ball game for these women in life. I mean, not just training, but I can't tell you how many times I've had people reach out to me and tell me like, hey, I just want to say thank you, because after I went through the 5K program or 10K program, or, after I ran my first marathon, I came home and I filed for a divorce. I was miserable in my marriage and I just finally had the confidence to leave. Or, you inspired me to like really look at that, what makes me happy, or, I found that through running or whatever it is. So I feel like there's so much parallel with that. And again, I'm going to go back to, it doesn't have to be running. It has to be something that you're really passionate about, or something that you really, really want. Right. Like, so I remember when I signed up for my first marathon, I was like, that seems like a very long way. I honestly didn't even know how far a marathon was. Like when I first back, a long time ago, they weren't as popular. And I was like, well, how long is that? How long is a marathon? And someone was like, oh, 26 miles. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like that's really far. I don't think I could ever do that. Like I didn't have that confidence. And I was like, well, I guess there's training schedules. I mean, I suppose I could try and train, and then you like reach that goal. Right. And I think that was one of the things in the very, very beginning, that just taught me I could do whatever I put my mind to, and that turned into, oh my gosh, I'm going to be running my 50th marathon coming up. And 100, I've ran 100 miles and done crazy, crazy things. Not that I want to do those again, but it's just crazy. Like if you really want something, I would say, if you want something bad enough, you're going to do it. So the sky's the limit, right?
It truly is. And I feel like the people that are around you, like the company that you keep, if the people around you are telling you that you're not capable or you can't do something, that is not your truth, right? That is truly just a reflection of what those people feel about themselves. And they want to not see anybody else do it, or they want to put fear out there if you step forward to do whatever it is that you're passionate about or what you want to do. I mean, how many times in life have we reached for something ambitiously and said, I'm going to do that, or I'm going to take that on. I'm going to open a business, or I'm going to run that 100-miler, or I'm going to, start a challenge or whatever it is. And there's always that noise from other people in the background. And it is only because they are afraid that they can't do it themselves.
Right. They don't want to see other people do it, and it's because they're afraid to do it.
Yeah, it's an absolute projection of just their own fears about their own limitations. And for some reason, they find comfort in projecting those limitations on other people. So that's a reminder I always keep in my back pocket as well. Anybody that is not at least supporting or not talking negatively about something that I'm moving in the direction of is just somebody that is afraid of their own life and their own progression through it. So that is not company that you need to keep at all.
Exactly. Yes. And that is something I learned in my life too, is you pick your company, right? And if you want to be successful and you want to have a positive environment, you surround yourself with those kind of people, and they will help you.
For sure. You need to find your tribe. And, something else that you said just a couple moments ago, you had talked about people really coming into their knowing and their awareness when they do something like a 5K, couch to 5K program, something just, I don't want to say basic or simple, but something seemingly small, right? But it is so epic in their life that it gives them the confidence to make big changes for themselves. And I think we've both heard the quote before that, if you want to like lose a few pounds or, change your routine, like go ahead and go on a diet or start going to the gym or something, change your life, become a runner.
Yes, for sure.
I feel that.
Yeah. And I think that also a lot of people, they don't have their tribe, right? So looking back, and within running and fitness, we have a community of people that pretty much we share a lot of the same goals and values, right? We're training for something, or we'd like to train for something, or we want to try to do this or that. But I think the support system within the fitness community is another thing that is really, really important. I don't really depend on it so much anymore because I have running is such a part of my life that I don't even know what I would do if I wasn't training for something. But there are people out there that need that support. And I think that the running community is such a great place for people who just don't have it around them at home. Because you're always going to find somebody who, shares a little bit of that same, goal, or I don't know, you'll find something in common. I don't, with me and you, I think I met you at Fleethy, right? Wasn't that where we first met?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. So that was like in a running program. You you probably were participating in a running program, and then you ended up meeting a ton of people and became a running coach. And, through the years, I feel like there's so many people who we've made those connections with, right? Some good and some bad, but
yeah. Well, that's to be expected, I suppose.
Yeah.
But for sure, there's a lot of just interconnection within the running community for sure. And people run for different reasons, right? Like there's different pathways. Some are just, it's for sure about fitness. Others, it is about challenging themselves. Others, it's about losing weight or whatever, but it evolves over time. Like you said earlier, you run for different reasons now than you used to. And I can absolutely relate to that. There was a time when it was all about qualifying, or it was all about time, or any other number of things. And now, 99% of the time I run by myself. I don't wear earbuds or anything like that. I just want to be in my own head. That is like my therapy time. That is like I said, my creative time. And it's something that I use to defuse myself. And fitness that comes from that is like a byproduct for sure. You know, like staying in shape is a byproduct, primary reason I run, which is mental health.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even this morning I was getting ready to come in to work and do the podcast and stuff. And I was talking to Andrew and I was like, Andrew, why do you think I run? Because honestly, I'm not even sure that I have a clear answer like right now in my life. Like if someone's like, hey, Misty, you know, why do you run? It's like, well, I don't know. I mean, I think that if I didn't run, I would feel weird. You know, I don't know. It's like, and he even said, he was kidding at first. He's like, self-torture for sure, you know? And I was like, that is not true. And he's like, no, he's like, I think that you just like the discipline of it and you like the structure of it and you like the training more than the goal, you know? And I can't tell you how many times I will sign up for a race and it always hits me like 10 weeks in to this training cycle. I'm like, I don't really want to do the race anymore. I don't know why. I don't want to do it anymore. I think that once I start to get into the point where it's like, okay, you're starting to train more for like specific pacing and, you know, the pressure starts getting a little bit more serious and you kind of take a look at yourself and you're like, okay, am I really going to do this? It never fails. I'm like, I don't really want to do it anymore, but I'd like to maybe start training for something else like a couple months down the road. And I think why I do that is because I like I like the training part of it. I like knowing that I'm going to do this workout and I'm going to do this workout and then I'm going to do a long run. And then I don't know. It's just, that's the way I've always lived. So at this point in the game, it's not even about the race, you know, and I do make myself go to these races. I mean, even with Boston, I got super sick right before. It was horrible. But I'll make myself go, but I really just want to come home and start over again. You know, it's just, I just want to start it again and do the training. And of course, and there's always the metrics and the numbers and the heart rates and the paces. And, you know, I'm kind of a pretty nerdy when it comes to the coaching side. So I always like want to try something different or, you know, see if I can maybe hit these paces. And I always say, yeah, I'm 50, but I can still run pretty much the same paces as I have been running, you know, when I was in my 30s. So I don't know. I just think that's why I run. I think it's like the everyday grind of staying true to who I am and having that as my own. And I don't want to give that up, you know?
Well, nor should you have to. And I remember something that you had said to me a long time ago, that running is etched in your soul. And I think that's true for a lot of us. It's interesting to me when I'll be like going out for a run or like somebody, I don't know, at work or something at my clock in job will say, oh, you're going for a run today? We'll have fun. And that is such a weird concept to me. Like running is not fun, first off. Like I don't run because it's like fun for me to run. And I, like you, think that it is just kind of part of the discipline of who I am, that I just have to show up for that. Like I can't, and when I don't, like when I've gone through periods of time where, you know, it's been sporadic or injured or whatever that has not allowed me to show up to run, it eats at me in a way that nothing else does when I can't lace up and kick out those miles. And I think part of it is too, like that training to be uncomfortable. Like I put such emphasis on that with even my son when he's out, you know, he's doing 5Ks now, or when he's soccering or whatever. I'm like, it's okay if this sucks. Like that's part of why you do this. You show up because you challenge yourself to get through what is uncomfortable, because if you don't, how are you ever going to show up for anything in life if you feel like everything has to be perfect all the time?
Right. No, that's so true. Yeah. Running is not fun at all. And people always say, gosh, running, I hate running. And like, whenever I see a runner, they always look so miserable. And I'm like, yeah, we are. Usually we are miserable. I always look miserable. Today on my run, I probably looked like I wanted to kill people. You know, I was hot. My weather app said 63 degrees. I had a long sleeve shirt on. I went out there. I think I died. And I was at mile 2. And I was like, well, I guess I'm going to take my shirt off. Like, I don't love running in a sports bra, but at this point, if I'm going to finish this 5 miles, I have to take my shirt off. And who cares? Like, I don't, you know, I'm running through town in a sports bra. I'm 50 years old. It's like, all right, well, it is what it is because I'm dying. And I got home and I opened the door and I was like, it is hot. It is super hot. I need water. I was crabby. I mean, running is not fun, but
No.
we continue to do it because I think that there is nothing more satisfying than, you know, getting through all of that uncomfortable stuff and then reaching the goal, right? Whether it's a 5-mile run in, you know, 95% humidity or whatever it was this morning, or if it's, you know, a 100-mile run. It's like, I mean, it's cool to be like, I did that. That was hard and I did that.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, that idea of, you know, doing things because they're fun. Yeah, to running, that is such a foreign concept for sure. But I take it back to, how do you want to feel? Because even though like the run itself might be really challenging, or the strength training might be really challenging, which like I absolutely hate strength training. I do it because, you know, I care about how it improves my body and whatnot, and how it helps running. But anyways, how do you want to feel? You know, do you want to suffer through that 5 miles this morning when it's hot as hell out and you're overdressed, it sounds like, and, you know, you're not going to like quit, because if you do, you know, you're going to feel like shit afterwards. Or if you don't lace up at all, you know, you're going to feel like shit. So how do you want to feel? And if working through something hard means you're going to feel good afterwards, then that's what I show up for.
Yeah, for sure. 100%. And, you know, it's funny because I just recently switched jobs. I was in the dental office for, you know, you and I, another thing we share is our other careers, our previous careers. But I just recently changed positions into a real estate office with Andrew here at Brokerworks. So my flexibility is amazing now. So I was like, oh, I'm going to get up at the same time as I did at the dental office, and I'm going to run before work, and then I'm going to have the whole day to do other things, and I'm just going to have this great schedule, you know. And I thought all these things I could do, and literally the last 2 weeks that I have been here, today was the first day that I ran in the morning, because I don't know, I just like kept pushing it off. So I've had a couple of days in a row where I didn't run. And I think part of it is because of the challenge, because we get up and we do this strength training, and then I don't want to run after that. I just want to go drink coffee. So that's kind of throwing me for a loop. So I'm still trying to get through that. But I think, you know, I finally kind of had a heart to heart with myself the other day. I was like, Misty, you have to run in the morning, because you can't go all day and then you're not running in the evening. Like, it's kind of like this weird flip where when I was in the dental office, I had to run at night. So there was no like question. There was no like, can I do this or can I do that? I had a time I had to run. I did it. It was fine. But now I have this flexibility, and I'm throwing around like when I'm going to run, and I'm not running when I get home. So it comes back to like when I tell people, set your schedule, right? Make time for yourself and keep it. Because even if I don't set it in stone, it won't happen. It just won't happen. I'll get off work, I'll be full, or I'll be starving, or I'll just be too tired, or Andrew will want to go out to tomato bar, or, you know, it's like all these other little things happen. But anyway, yeah, so I want to feel good. I want to feel proud of myself. You know, I want to feel like I did something for myself today and not for everybody else, you know, 24 hours a day. I have to have like an hour to myself. So,
And in a 24-hour period, that really isn't a lot to ask, is it?
no, it's
1
not.
hour for ourselves. And going back to just being selfish, I mean, that is minimal in terms of what we should be giving to ourselves. Because I mean, I think that you're probably of the same mindset of the more you give to yourself, the more you can then give away to other people. The more you can pour into other people and help them to also show up for themselves in a way that they should and need to for their own lives.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know, again, going back to just like being healthy, right? So here we are, we're getting older, I have grandkids. I could take my, grandkids to the park. I can play with them. I can climb slides. I can do all kinds of crazy things that most grandmas probably can't do, but it's because I've been showing up every day,
Mhm.
since I don't even know. I started running really, really young, but, seriously running, I was probably like in my 20s. Running races and stuff, but it's just a lifestyle. It's what you do, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And something else that you hit on earlier about, registering for a race, changing jobs, doing things that are entirely different, or, we change our minds about something, right? Pivoting in that way and allowing ourselves that grace and permission to do so is something that I think a lot of people struggle with. Like, people, I think, feel like if they make a decision, it's like people that go to college and obtain a degree and then later find out they hate it, right? They don't ever want to do what they went to school for, but they feel stuck in it because they've spent time and money, and this is what people expect of them. And I think that last part is the biggest thing. Um, Getting stuck in the expectations of other people and feeling like you can't change your mind or that you can't pivot. And the core of humaning in this world, I feel, is evolving and change and growth. So it's really confusing to me why there's so much resistance to that. Um, and specifically why there's so much resistance to that in terms of how we individually live our lives and the decisions we make for ourselves. So, if you are on track to toe the line at a certain race and you're just not feeling it in your training and it's no longer what you want to do, giving yourself permission to say, this is not working anymore. And I'm not going to just muscle or force my way through this just because I've told people I'm doing it, or just because I paid money or I've put time into it. And I think that that's something that you've really leaned into, is just allowing yourself to change your mind and doing so unapologetically.
Yeah. I mean, I like to change my mind a lot, and Andrew loves that. But I think that, for one, I'm always looking for different things and different opportunities. I love opportunities and I love challenges, whether it's, physical or career-based or whatever. I think I just get bored easily. So I think with running, that has always helped me just, I don't know, probably work through that a little bit better. But pivoting, whether it's in life or in a race, I mean, I think that running races, long distance races, especially, teach you how to decide when it's time to change the plan. It helps you decide if there's another route that maybe you could go that would make you feel better, or that would be better for you, right? So there's a lot of times when I was running like Leadville, and it was, God, mountains and dark and altitude and all these crazy things. It's like, you come to a point where you're just like, you know what, it's okay that I feel like crap right now, because it's just okay. Like, I can feel bad, and I'm not going to finish this race, and there has been, not very many times in my life that I didn't finish a race, but there's been a lot of times in my life that I haven't finished something in life. Right. And I think knowing who you are and knowing how you handle those big challenges or those big discomforts or that uncomfortable feeling, I think that allows you to pivot. And I think that it's okay to pivot because you know yourself. And you know, like, if I know that if I show up for a marathon and my heart's not in it, I'll finish it. I will be miserable the whole time. Do I want to be miserable the whole time? No, I really don't. I mean, there's times where I'm miserable just because I didn't know I was going to be miserable. But if I know I'm going to be miserable, then maybe I'm going to pivot. Maybe I'm going to do something else and try to make more of a positive out of that negative that I'm feeling. But 9 times out of 10, I will kind of at least give myself time to work through like why I don't want to do it or why I want to pivot. Is it because I'm not dedicating the time to it, or maybe I just don't want to, give the energy or the time to that specific thing right now, right? Like having grandkids is a huge thing. Like there was a time during my training where like Autumn was going to have the baby any moment. And I was just like, I just don't care about running right now. Like there's bigger things, like, but I'll always come back to running, but sometimes you have to set it aside and you have to think, focus on other things. So it is okay to pivot and it's okay to change your mind. And you can change your mind 500 times and that's okay. Because if that's what you want to do, if that's what makes you happy, or if that's what you feel is best for you, then do it. It's your life, right?
Yeah.
You only get one chance. So, and all those little pivots, like they all make, they can just take you a different path in life too. So I'm thankful for all those pivots because without them, who knows? Who knows
For sure.
right now, right?
It's hard to see like the positivity of it when you're in the thick of it though, right? Like when something's really hard and you're like, you feel like you're forced to pivot, but really it was probably always going to be a pivot. It just, you didn't maybe think it would be so hard, or feel so hard. But something you said within that too about the perception of not finishing something, whether it's a race or whether it's anything in life. What comes to mind to me when I hear that, when people say, well, you didn't finish what you started kind of thing, it's like, well, maybe I did. Maybe it just wasn't ever meant to be something that was a finality in any way in regards to what other people's perceptions was of that. Whether it's, what comes to mind is like a business closing, or moving away from a certain line of work because there's something else next for you. But people really get stuck in the mindset of, oh, well, it closed or she's not doing that anymore kind of thing. It's like, well, maybe I was never meant to always do that thing. It was never meant to be a final destination. It was only meant to be part of the path. So I did finish it. I did finish the part that was meant for me to finish so that I could move on to the next thing. And I think that's true for races too. I mean, even if you're not physically crossing a finish line, it is gearing you up or preparing you for whatever is next in that realm of things too. And you know what? At the end of the day, you tried, and that is more than 99.9% of what most people can say. Most people that are doing hard things like showing up for marathons or ultras or opening businesses or even changing their personal path because they deserve happiness, right? Most people are too scared to even try to make anything better for themselves, and they never even take the swing. So the fact we're taking swings, I think is just part of it, even if we feel like we've missed.
Yeah, and I do think that is one thing. I always say if there's one like word to describe me, it is resilience. And I've learned that over the years, and I know I'm resilient. So I feel like that will give me the courage to try things. I rarely would say no to something if I wanted to do it, right? So there's a lot of things I say no to that people will say, oh, we should go do this or do that. I'm like, no, like I'm not doing that. And I'm firm in that. So if I make up my mind, that's where that's going to stay.
Well, resilient is absolutely something that I would describe you as, be it running or strength training, life. And I'm going to go back to how running has prepared you for that, because I feel like when you are training for life in a way that makes you understand what it feels like to be uncomfortable and know that that feeling is only temporary, that is how you build up that resiliency to know that you can get through whatever it is that feels hard right now.
Yeah. And I think that kind of going back to like, we're swinging, right? Like we're taking chances. I think that learning yourself and learning how you tick and how you handle certain things, you are more willing to take those chances. And if they don't work out, that's okay. Like you got experience doing that. You learn something. I always go back to like, it doesn't matter what I've done or, I've changed jobs or whatever. I've always learned something, and it'll always like give me that much more knowledge, like in the next path or the next journey or the next race, right? Like if you don't hit your time goal or you don't finish the way you wanted to, I mean, you're still learning, right? You're still learning, like maybe it was my nutrition, or maybe I needed to hydrate differently, or maybe I needed to change the way I'm training, and just switch it up. So it's all a learning process, whether it's training or life or whatever. And people you just don't be afraid to try, there's so many people out there that don't try. It's like, why? I mean, like, what's the worst thing that can happen? And I have always been a very fear-based person. And that's probably why I have made myself overcome a lot of things. I did not realize I was fear-based until I actually went through some counseling when I went through my divorce. And the counselor, I'd be like, oh, I can't do that, or I can't do that, or, this, I worry about this or that. And she'd be like, why? Why do you worry about it? What's the worst thing that's going to happen? You're still going to go on with the day, and you're still going to, things are still going to happen like in life. And I think it was at that moment, I was like, yeah, you're right. Like even though I'm afraid of it, I don't want to base my decisions based on the fear, I always go back to, this is such a stupid little story, but I love horses. I've always loved horses, even like since I was a kid, and I've never had a horse when I was a kid, but I was kind of nervous around horses because they're big. And for me, like, I was just like, I want to love you and I want to like get on the saddle and I want to ride you, but I'm nervous because you could literally stomp on me and run me over and kill me. Sarah, I bought a horse. Do you remember when I had a horse? I
do.
bought a horse. I was like, I'm going to go buy a horse and I'm going to learn how to ride the horse because I'm afraid of it. Right. So I bought a horse and I boarded that horse for like probably a good 2 years. I spent a ton of money on this horse, a single mom with a horse. Worst decision ever. Literally the worst decision ever. But I took horseback riding lessons and I learned how to ride the stupid horse. And it was a horrible horse. I mean, he was like the tallest, biggest horse ever. He didn't listen well at all. Actually, when I started dating Andrew, I made him get on the horse and wear the horse out. And then I would get on the horse because he was very spunky, the horse. And I'm like, I'm going to die. And Andrew is not, Andrew, he's not a horse guy. He showed up in
That's
his
a little
dress shoes.
hard to picture. That's a little hard to envision, honestly.
Yeah, it was actually funny. I have videos. I'll have to show you someday. I send you videos of riding the horse, but I no longer have the horse. The horse is no longer with us. He ended up getting cancer. It was a horrible thing, but it was my very short time with this horse, but it taught me that I will face my fears head on 100%. And whether that's just in like my personality or that's because of all the running and training and discipline and all the hard things that I've done, you know I can do that. And I don't like to be afraid of things. So if I'm afraid of it, I'm probably going to try to do it. Like I want to overcome that because I never want to be limited, by fear. And I think that's because I learned that that was such a huge thing for me. I've made some really poor choices in my life based out of fear, and I just won't do that again, or maybe I will, who knows, but I'm going to try not to.
I
So,
love that though. I love that you have such an awareness of that within yourself that, if you're afraid of something, you need to look at it straight in the face and not like turn the other way. And the story of the horse is a perfect example of that. But the fears that we create, like all these problems that create in our minds that don't actually exist, we just like to self-sabotage ourselves for some reason. But you have come such a long way in just your inner growth and just working through the things that have challenged you, that now you're at a place where just it's okay to feel afraid, as long as you are not letting it limit you. Like still walk forward into that.
right. Just the awareness of it is huge because I'm like, okay, I will lean towards a decision because I'm afraid of something with this decision, right? So I don't want to make that decision based out of fear. I want to make the decision because it is the best choice for me at this moment in my life. It doesn't mean that it's going to be a great choice 5 years from now, or 10 years from now, but at the moment it is the best choice. So I've made better choices knowing that. And I wish I would have gone to counseling like years ago, because that happened later in my life. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, I just didn't know that about myself. And a lot of these things that happen, you're born, your childhood is where a lot of that starts, and you don't realize it, expectations, I have the best parents in the world, but, I grew up in a very, very conservative household, and they expected things to be, a certain way. So I have very high expectations. I've always had that of myself and others. That's another thing, just learning who you are and, why you make decisions, how you make decisions, the people you need to be around, all those things, learning about yourself and, running, fitness, any passion, right? It's got to be your why. I always go back to like, what is your why? Why are you doing it? You have to have a really strong why. And even this morning, I was like, Andrew, why do I run? All these years, I've had a million whys. And now I can feel very comfortable just saying, because it's who I am, because I want to, because that's what I want to do today. I'm going to run today, and I'm going to feel good and be happy and be proud of myself. And I'm going to, have a great day. And then tomorrow I might say, I don't want to run today. I'm going to do my strength training today, and I'm going to go drink my coffee afterwards because I got up at 5:15, which I can't believe I'm doing that. I tried so hard to get you guys to say, oh yeah, 7:00 is fine. And everybody's like, no, I think I have to do 6. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm just going to stick to it. So, but you guys keep me accountable. I mean, we're already on week 4 and I can't miss a day, because that would be super awkward if I don't turn the camera on. You guys are like, Misty's still sleeping.
Yeah, it's interesting how just the different seasons of life kind of determine how we show up for ourselves too, because man, back in the day, like 6 a.m. would have been far too late for us to start anything, right? Like we had to start at 5 or earlier in order to fit it into the day and have that 1 hour of our own time, amongst it all. So, different seasons, different times in life, again, pivot the way we do things. But thanks for still showing up at 6 a.m. because, those lives in the mornings are very important in terms of keeping my ass on track and getting it going. I mean, the replays are there, which is cool, but it's different, showing up live. So thank you for getting up for us.
Hey, no problem. I mean, I guess I'll do it, but I mean, at least I could turn the mic on. The other day, I didn't even have the mic on. I'm like, just talking, working out, and everybody's like, we can't hear you. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's because I'm still sleeping,
You know
but
what though? I mean, those things though, and I have found that in my own journey with what I do and what I put out into the world is that it's fine to just be imperfect.
yeah,
People relate to you more when you are a real person showing up and struggling in a similar way that they are. Showing up polished and perfect is not what anybody wants. So, if your mic's off and you take a second to, figure it out that you need to turn your mic on, it's okay. Like it's
oh
all gonna
God,
be okay.
I know. And my
Like you've
watch, the
recently,
timing,
yeah, the watch, like you've recently
everything.
learned, I mean, the day's gonna go on and everybody's gonna be fine.
Yeah.
So anyways, this has been a really good conversation. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here with me today.
Yes, thank you for having me. I always admired you for doing the podcast and all the things that you do. And I was like, it'd be cool for us to talk and have a conversation. I feel like you and I share a lot of things. And I don't know, there's not a lot of people out in this world that I feel I can really connect to on many levels. And you might be one of the very few. So I figured we would have a pretty good conversation.
Yeah, well, thanks for that. And likewise, there do seem to be a lot of parallels in our lives for sure. So yeah, it's cool to be connected for sure.
Yeah. Now we just
And
have to go and run some crazy miles together and get you back out there, do some marathons.
yeah, I'm working my way back up towards distance running, but like you, I'll say not to spend too much time on my own running, but I really do not like racing. I mean, I will train, over and over all
Yeah.
day, but like the signing up for races, other than my kid has me doing all these 5Ks lately, which I hate. I'm not a 5Ker,
Right.
but in terms of longer distance, half marathon and beyond, like I might do one a year, maybe two, like when I'm trained. But I really don't like racing. I like how I feel afterwards though. So that's why I still do it sometimes.
Yeah. I'd like to find out more about why you don't like racing. I bet you there's more to that as far as maybe the pressure or the expectation or all those things. But sometimes it's
Conversation.
fun. I know, just another conversation for another day. But I don't know. Sometimes I think that giving yourself grace during those races and just showing up to have fun can be huge.
Fun and running. Okay, well, we'll work on that concept.
Let's try. Yeah, we'll use those words not together next time, but yeah.
Misty, tell our listeners how they can find you. How can they stay connected with you for training and running and just in general?
Yeah, so we actually have a running, like an online running community called the Runner's Corner. And I wore my shirt today.
I see.
You guys can see that. But it's on Facebook. It's just a open Facebook group. There's about a little over 500 people in there. And then we have a website for like online coaching and our challenges and things like that, which is the runnerscorner.com. And then Instagram, I'm just under coach_Misty. So yeah, all those ways, I'd love to have you guys.
Yeah,
join
cool.
the community, meet lots of people, have fun or not have fun. I don't know.
But still show up regardless.
But yeah, show up.
So all ways to stay connected with Misty will be in the show notes for easy click access. So that will all be there and ready for people to find their way to you. Thanks for taking the time today. I really loved this conversation.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sarah.
Thanks for joining us for this powerful conversation. If you liked what you heard and want more of this type of empowerment and encouragement, and want to ignite your true self and passions, do these next right things. Like, rate, or review this episode and podcast. Doing so helps these conversations be available to more people. Subscribe or follow the podcast. This will help so you never miss an episode, and it helps us so you never miss an episode. Watch for more to come from Misty and I by following both of us in our social spaces, so you're the first to know when we come together again in a way that helps us be more available to do what we both love most, helping other people feel empowered, capable, and supported. All ways to stay connected, work with us, and connect are in the show notes. And thank you, Misty. I've loved having you on What's on Your Plate podcast. Until next time, my friends.